We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth. And we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media.
We the people.
And welcome to Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot, Diane Sorey from the Patriot Factor, and together we are the Right Side Patriots right here on CPR Worldwide Media. Glad you have joined us today on a Wednesday. And Diane, right off the top of the show here, we've got to do a little housekeeping. We were expecting to have Mudar Zakran, the pro-Israeli leader of the Palestinian People's Movement, with us today, but
he's got the flu, folks. It hit him in the early hours of the morning. I spoke to him last night. He was starting to feel a little weird, but he thought he was just overtired. And he contacted me early this morning that he cannot even get out of his bed. He's so sick.
Well, and we hope the best for him. We hope he gets well soon. A little under the weather today, so hopefully maybe next week, if he's feeling better, we can get him on the show then, huh?
Oh, absolutely. He said as soon as he's better, he will be on. And we've got some real interesting topics to discuss with him when he does come on. But Craig, before we wake up our moderate Muslim intern, something funny just came across the wires.
Oh, really?
Yes. Mitch McConnell and Obama are going to be meeting at the White House in what's called a whiskey summit.
Oh,
so
God.
Here we're going to have Obama and McConnell drinking whiskey and deciding our nation's future. Does anybody else have a problem with this picture?
No, but I'll tell you what, by the time the reports come out of what they decided, I'm going to need an entire fifth of the stuff.
And you know what? Me, who doesn't drink, I might very well start.
This may be the week to start.
Yes, so I thought that was a funny way to start the show. It's funny, but it's kind of sad, isn't it?
The Whiskey Summit. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Good Lord. Hey, here's something else we want to kind of clue our listeners into today. Right near the end of the show today, we are going to debut a very special little Christmas thing. And this is something I found online. It's a poem for soldiers. And I put it together with some music. We are going to debut that right near the end of the show today. And then after this, you'll probably hear it, a couple of times a day or so as you listen to CPR Worldwide Media. We're just going to kind of play it every now and again between now and Christmas. So we want you all to stay tuned for that, because it's really kind of a neat little thing. So
it's very special, guys, and it's a special salute. Let's put it that way.
It's to all the men and women who have or are serving our nation and our military. So, and it was just kind of a special way for us to say thank you for everything that they do for us and for the country, and kind of tell them what they mean to us. So.
Yes, we forget to do that quite a few times, everybody. We remember on Memorial Day, on July 4th, on Veterans Day, but our men and women in uniform, both past and present, kind of need special recognition every day for what they do.
Well, and that's what we're going to do today. So we've got a lot of other things to discuss today, too, folks. Ferguson, in case you missed it, Ferguson is in the news. Ferguson, Missouri, for those of you who have forgotten where Ferguson is. I don't know how you could.
We could forget.
I know. We're going to bring you up to date on things that are going on in Ferguson, and we're going to offer what we think might be some solutions to that problem. Then we're going to talk about the 2016 Republican candidates. Nobody's thrown their hat into the ring officially yet, but there are a lot of names out there that are kind of swirling around, so we're going to take a look at some of that. And in case you missed it because you were watching everything in Ferguson, Medicare is in trouble.
Big trouble, and they're trying to keep this under wraps, but this will affect every senior currently on Medicare and anyone who will be put on Medicare up until the year 2019. By that time, Medicare probably will have collapsed completely because of Obama.
Well, so we've got a lot to talk about today. So what do you say we wake up the moderate Muslim intern, Mohammed Hussein Obama, deep in sleep, we think, in a mountain inside of a cave in Tora Bora. Mohammed, are you around? Is the Intercontinental Ballistic Camel ready to fly? He says it is.
Okay, rev it up.
So light the fires, kick the tires, and send us over some of those quick hitters, will you?
Got him.
Got him. Okay, let's see here. Well, okay, so you said McConnell is going to have a whiskey summit.
Yes.
With the Wizard of Oz. Boehner.
No, the whiskey summit is between McConnell and Obama.
Yeah, well, he's the Wizard of Oz. He's the wizard behind the curtain pulling the strings, and he's a fake, a fraud,
a traitor. We could add a couple of other words. A usurper.
Yeah, but
POS. I mean, there's a whole string of adjectives we can stick on there.
Yeah, but we only have 2 hours.
That's true.
So we got to draw the line somewhere.
That's
true. So
true.
while McConnell and Obama have a whiskey summit, get hammered and decide the fate of our country, Boehner is over in the House is going to push back the immigration fight until 2015. Well, I'm just shocked that he doesn't want to take it on. I'm just shocked.
Yeah, Boehner, we all know about Boehner. We really don't have to say too much about him. But on this, he happens to be right. Because if they bring it up now while the Democrats are still in control, it's going to go, in Obama's favor. Remember, the Congress is going out on Christmas break in about 2 weeks. And when they come back, they'll just be there a few days. And then we take over Congress, and maybe then something could be done, anything at this point, but we cannot let Obama's amnesty plan go through.
Now, Obama says, he says, if you don't send me a bill to fund the government, I'm going to shut it down on December 12th.
Let them.
That's what I'm
Let them.
thinking.
Let them. As Ted Cruz says, let them. There's nothing wrong with shutting the government down. It doesn't do anything or affect anyone except really the federal workers. And do you really care that much about them? I don't.
Not really. No.
No, no,
No.
no. Merry Christmas, guys.
I say go right ahead and shut it down. When we put together a spending bill, looking ahead at 2015 and maybe even 2016, I have an idea, honestly, of what needs to be done. Instead of sending him a total package bill that defunds the whole amnesty thing, send him a spending bill just a piece at a time of things we do want funded.
And trade tit for tat.
Well, and say here, here's for the military. Let Obama sign it or not sign it. That way, it's on his shoulders.
True.
Here's a spending measure for this. Here's a spending measure for that. And let him sign them or decline to sign them piecemeal. And if these things don't get funded, it ain't our fault because we sent the bill.
True.
And when it gets down to the amnesty crap, just don't send him one.
Remember, we've got at least 350 bills backed up thanks to Prince Harry Reid, who wouldn't even bring them to the floor for discussion. So, we could keep Obama busy and out of our hair by keeping him at his desk going after bill after bill after bill after bill.
Oh, yeah, but he's got a rubber veto stamp.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He'll pick up his, his pen. He'll pick up his phone. He'll make a golf date, and you'll just hear the stamp going.
I'll tell you what he can do with both the pen and the phone and his golf clubs, and I'm talking sideways.
Oh, yeah. I think you're thinking the exact same thing I am.
I'll bet I am. I bet I'm thinking what everybody who is listening is thinking.
Yeah. The only good thing is when he's on the golf course, he's out of the Oval Office and he's not screwing us. So that's one good thing of him on the golf course.
Yeah, well, and if he shuts down the government, he'll have plenty of time to go somewhere and play golf.
Yeah, let him shut it down. Who cares? It's Christmas. Nobody's going to be working anyway. Shut it down, Obama.
Shut it down. Shut it down. We don't care. Now, here's something interesting. It's Christmas time, and, businesses and organizations and things, they're busy putting on their Christmas parties. I've got a Christmas party to go to this weekend, as a matter of fact, Saturday night. Looking forward to that. But I'll bet you there aren't a whole lot of Christmas parties out there that are going to cost $25,000.
Let me guess. It's a government Christmas party.
Well, sort of. This is an eco group, one of those kind of greeny, weeny e-groups,
Yes.
And they somehow managed to finagle $25,000 of taxpayer dollars for their Christmas party.
And listen to this, guys. $11,000 for premium coffee services.
Now, what are premium coffee? Look, I love my coffee. Okay,
yeah,
and I think our listeners know that.
Yes.
Okay, but what are premium coffee services?
I would assume those are like those fancy coffees, the mints, the this, the that, the almond, the mocha, the Swiss.
I can get those at the grocery store for $5-6 a can.
Yeah, but maybe they're going to have little white glove servers serving the coffee. I mean, $11,000. I mean, what are they serving it in gold coffee cups?
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, how do you? First of all, how many people are at this party? And second of all, how do you spend $11,000 on coffee services?
I don't know. They're calling it management fees. Oh, wait, listen to this.
Management fees.
You're going to love this. Okay. The Christmas party, the coffee services, $3,000 for alcohol-fueled board of directors dinners.
What?
Yeah, $3,000.
That sounds like a whiskey summit.
Yeah, $3,000 for T-shirts. And this group spent $112,000 for lobbying. Wow. And the holiday party costs included more than $12,000 alone just for the expenses at the Westin. People don't know the Westin. That's a four-star hotel.
Oh yeah, that's a biggie.
And we have a national debt that is astronomical. We have Americans out of work. We have illegals who are now going to take jobs away from Americans that are looking for work, but they can spend $12,000 to stay at the Westin.
Well, it's an eco group, I mean, this is the Solyndra types.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, come on, it's taxpayer dollars. Nobody's going to miss it, right?
Yeah. Well, this is the same group that back in 2012 they got audited over a neon construction budget where more than $150 million in costs for neon were questioned.
Neon?
Neon. I mean, this is.
I'll tell you what, if we knew ahead of time that they were having parties like this, we always find this stuff out after the party. Okay?
True.
If we knew ahead of time this was going on, we would go to the party and tell them where they could stuff an elf.
Well, this is going to make you laugh, guys. These groups, this eco group and some other groups, listen to how much of our taxpayer dollars they've wasted. $80,000 to study why the same teams always dominate March Madness. I can tell you that for free because they're better than the other teams. $1 million for $1 million for an analysis of how quickly parents respond to trendy baby names.
Oh, God.
$2 million to figure out that people who often post pictures on the internet from the same location at the same time are usually friends. Duh. And $581,000 on whether online dating site users are racist. This is how they're spending our taxpayer dollars, guys. And this eco group is part of it. And yet they're getting $25,000.
Yeah, $25,000 for their Christmas party. And it's all of us who paid for the party, and we didn't even get invited.
Well, I think we should crash it, Craig. We'll bring our setup. We'll set up our boards there, and we'll say, okay.
Yeah,
Tell us why you deserve $25,000 for your Christmas party.
Yeah, and give me a cup of that $11,000 coffee.
Yeah, in the gold cup. Can I keep the gold cup?
Where the hell is my eggnog? Good Lord, people. Now, here's this is something interesting. While everybody's been focused on Ferguson, Watchdog has revealed thousands. Now, I'm not talking 10 or 20 or 100. Not even talking 8,000. We're talking thousands, plural, of documents that show that the IRS has been sharing taxpayer data and info with the White House.
Yes, your personal information was shared with Obama. It was a lawsuit filed by the nonprofit group Cause for Action, and they began investigating back in 2012.
That's how long it takes to get these documents when you file a legal writ to get them.
Yes, and this all ties in with the infamous Lois Lerner things missing, and suddenly Obama has things and whatever. They requested 2,509 pages of documents, and they got 2,043, so they're missing roughly 500 pages of documents. And these pages consist of return information protected by 26 U.S.C. number 6103 and may not be disclosed absent an express statutory exemption, meaning 500 pages were redacted, folks. And guess whose name is probably under the black cross out?
Obama, Lerner, Obama, Lerner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the IRS sharing taxpayer data and info with the White House illegal?
Of course it is. Of course it is. Your treasury, your tax return is private information. That's not public information.
But Obama now knows what a lot of people's information is. It was shared with them.
Of
Now,
course.
I want to take people back to the early 1970s and Tricky Dick Nixon. Okay, one of the things that he was impeached for, folks, I mean, everybody remembers Watergate. Okay, but the thing that really put it over the edge, the thing that caused Nixon to resign, was illegal trifling with the IRS, and he was getting information from the IRS, and he was using it for political purposes.
Gee, sounds like somebody we know. Well, listen to this. They are now saying that if there is evidence that the White House requested
Oh,
unauthorized taxpayer information, then the people in the White House are going to be implicated. Now, everybody will gather their wagons around Obama and the blame game will begin again and the buck passing will begin again.
oh yeah, he did it, she did it, I didn't do it, I didn't know anything about it. Quote unquote, not a smidgen of corruption.
Oh, yeah, not a smidgen. How about a whole heaping
How about a
boatload
steaming
full?
turd load?
Yeah.
I mean, good.
This White House is dirty from top to bottom. In my humble opinion. Had to say that for our alphabet friends.
They're dirty from top to bottom. Fact. Come get me.
You're in enough trouble.
I am.
You racist you.
Yeah, I know.
We'll get into that, guys, when we get into Ferguson.
Man, oh man, oh man. And if all of this wasn't enough, Diane, we now have a new number to unload on our listeners today.
Yes.
Our nation is now officially past the $18 trillion mark in debt.
Yes. Now remember, when Obama took office in 2009, the debt was $10.6 trillion. And in less than 6 years, he has increased it by 70%. 70%.
Crap.
Yep.
And you know how you get there? By having $25,000 taxpayer-funded eco-group Christmas parties and putting shrimp on treadmills.
Yes. The man who criticized Bush when we were at war, the beginning of, all the wars, because the debt increased by $4 trillion, that man has increased the debt by $7.3 trillion. So he really kind of needs to shut his big mouth.
It's almost impossible to even wrap your head around $1 trillion, much less $18 trillion.
I know.
I mean, if we started paying that money back today, it wouldn't be paid back until our great grandchildren. And that's if we didn't incur any more debt.
Exactly. Now listen how they broke it down, Craig. This is quite interesting. You might have a few little comments here. The first part of that passing the 18 trillion is 12.92 trillion in public debt, which consists of all the outstanding treasury bills, notes, and bonds held by individuals, corporations, foreign governments, and others. The second is 5.08 trillion in so-called intra-governmental holdings, special securities held by U.S. government trust funds and special funds, or basically IOUs from the federal government for money, here it comes, that it borrowed from Social Security and Medicare.
Oh, no. Come on now, that's not happening.
Yes.
It is?
Oh, yes, he's funneling money from one area, taking it away from people who really need it, or senior citizens, or veterans who are on Social Security or Medicaid for their disabilities. And guess where it's going? To his freebies and handout programs.
Now, let's be honest about this. This is nothing new. This kind of crap has been going on for a long time, where they take from Peter to pay Paul and so on and so forth. But it's got to stop.
Yes. Yes. And if you break it down even further, Craig, if you take every man, woman, and child alive in the U.S. today, of course, not counting his illegals because they don't contribute jack shit.
Now, does this include his make-believe sons?
Yeah, Trayvon and Michael Brown. Yeah, if he had a son, each person would owe $56,250. Well, you know what? I ain't giving my share.
$56,000. Cough it up, America.
Yeah, happiness, isn't it?
You know, it's you watch that ticker, that debt clock thing, and you get dizzy. Those numbers are spinning so fast it makes you dizzy.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you know what, folks? I didn't mean to say that every single illegal contributes nothing, because we do, the farm workers and all that, they do jobs that some people don't want to do. However, the vast majority are just here to suck up our welfare programs to get all the freebies and handouts they can.
Well,
and send the money home to their home countries, mind.
Thank God we're not giving them Social Security and Medicare, huh?
Oh, please. There'll be nothing left there for them to take from. They're taking everything as it is.
I mean, look, folks, this country's in trouble. We owe some money to people that not a lot of people think, well, we owe it all to China. Well, we don't owe all of it to China, but if China and some of the other countries that loan us money decide they've had enough of this shell game, we're in deep trouble.
Yes. And that figure, it crossed the $18 trillion mark late last Friday. So 5 days later, we've already added to that.
Oh,
can you imagine? This man could leave us $20 trillion in debt by the time he leaves office.
And he said it was unpatriotic.
Yeah, I'd like to unpatriotic him right out of here. You know what? I'll actually help him pack, and I'll even contribute to Air Force One's gas money if they would take him over there to the countries he loves so much on a one-way ticket.
Absolutely. I think everybody would pitch in for that.
Yeah. Well, maybe Nancy and Harry wouldn't, but most.
Well, they could go along for the ride.
And stay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a one-way ticket for everybody.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, America.
Folks, we got a lot to talk about today. Unfortunately, Mudar Zakharan will not be with us. He came down with a severe case of the flu. We hope he's listening, and we hope he gets to feeling better real soon, because we want to get him back on the show. But when we come back from this break, we're going to be talking about Ferguson, and there's still a lot to talk about there. Later in the show, 2016 possible candidates. We've got Medicare in deep doo-doo. And we're going to debut a very special Christmas greeting to the men and women of the armed forces. So all of that yet to come, folks. Don't go anywhere. Right Side Patriots will be back after this.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
I believe that every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back gold.
Ski faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
I believe
it's possible to destroy stereotypes.
To start over, to be the toughest,
the strongest,
the bravest in the world. And when we work together, we can make it all possible. That's why Citi has donated $500,000 through its Every Step of the Way program, an initiative created to help future athletes reach their full potential through sport programs that inspire us. Like figure skating in Harlem.
Like youth enrichment services. Like Team for Tomorrow.
The Team USA Stay on the Slopes initiative. Now spread the word and help decide how much of that money goes toward
offering personal support and financial assistance to Olympians in need.
Promoting the growth of hockey in the U.S.
Expanding the sport of luge into new regions.
Support for wounded service members. Join Team Citi and let's turn a world of potential into reality.
Go to city.com/everystep and help decide where the money goes.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
The network wants to treat me right. Y'all can take the change and stick it out of sight. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Well, it used to be easy, get a place, build a house. Now the EPA said no, that's the home of the blue mouse. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. We're gonna use some common sense and we're gonna take back our country. Well, they've beaten to death that pole race horse. This politically correct thing has run its course. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Bing. Lots of divorces from showing them bangs. Why don't you mind your own business? That's good advice. Mind your own business. Dad got it right. But if you mind your business, then you won't be minding mine. Every sign says for sale, for lease. Price reduced. Make an offer, please. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. We're gonna take back our country. There's no way today we could build Boulder Dam. There'd be way too many government permit scams. Don't tread on me. Don't you tread on me. Hey, are you ready for the good news? We're gonna take back this country. Hey, Barack, pack your bags, head to Chicago. Take your teleprompter with you so you'll know where to go. So move it on over, move it on over, move it on over, move it on over. Move over, little dog, cause the big dog's moving in. Hey, 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 move it on over, move it on over. Slide it on over, move it on over. Hey, are you ready for some good news? Are you ready for some good news? We're gonna take back our country. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot with Diane Sorey from the Patriot Factor. And Diane, we got to talk about Ferguson again.
I know. I wish Ferguson would just go away already.
Good grief. I mean, it's not really getting that much better. I mean, it's going to get better when they run out of stuff to steal and burn.
That's true. You know, I love how the media And this administration turned a local incident into a national touch point here on civil rights violations. People, let's get something straight right off the top. There were no civil rights violations. Officer Wilson defended himself against a thug that wanted to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with what Officer Wilson did, and the forensic evidence backs up his testimony, and the testimony of other people that saw what happened backs it up. So,
and guess what? The ones that saw him, the 6 that testified, were all black, and they testified in the officer's behalf. So the people like Sharpton and Obama and Eric Holder. Jackson has kind of stayed out of this, except in the very beginning back in August. But the rest of them need to shut their damn mouths already.
Now, I'm gonna throw out some figures here, and because let's remember, this is all about this thug that robbed a convenience store, strong-armed the storekeeper, walked down the middle of the street, started beating up a cop, tried to take the cop's gun, and then charged at the cop. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've got now is we've got all these hands up, don't shoot morons that are out there claiming that this is all racial. And and Obama had a cabinet meeting about it, about it, where he's talking about fixing things, and we'll get into that here in a minute. But here's some things that people don't know, and this is stuff Obama doesn't want you to know. All right. So write this down, folks. Police killings of black people over the last 50 years has declined 70%.
Okay.
70%. The last date that figures were available is 2012, because it's all done, kind of in conjunction with the Census Bureau goes out and does this stuff every so often. Okay. So 2012. In 2012, 123 black people were killed by police with a gun. Okay? 123 in 2012. In that same year, 2012, 326 white people were killed by police.
Okay.
Yeah, almost 3 times the number of white people being killed by the cops as black people. The last time figures were made available. So you tell me, where's the racism here, folks? Why do we have to go out and fix the way we police our streets, according to Obama? You, Diane, you wrote a great article about this, about all the facts that kind of surrounding this just, well, I can't call it anything but a dumbass cabinet meeting.
It's not even a cabinet meeting. I mean, here it was. He invited, the anything but Reverend Al Sharpton, who he goes to, in fact, he went to 83 times for advice on race relations. 83 times that man had been to the White House. One of the biggest racists in this country is giving advice on race relations. And he had this meeting, and he had all these people, except he didn't have anyone from the police department of Ferguson. The very ones that he's been criticizing from top to bottom. And one thing, before we get into anything that people need to understand, you hear the constant cry over the past couple of weeks, there is a disproportionate amount of black men in prison. Well, there's a reason for that. Because they do most of the violent crimes.
I mean, hello,
folks. It has
folks.
Nothing to do with color. It has to do with they do the crimes.
It just is what it is.
Exactly. But he had these civil rights leaders to discuss police attitudes towards people of color. And like I said, without anyone from the Ferguson Police Department. And they want to Obama has now demanded, not wants to, but he's demanded $263 million of our taxpayer dollars. Okay, and he'll probably, knowing him, take it away from our military budget to retrain the Ferguson police, yet the Ferguson police weren't there, to put 50,000 body-worn cameras on U.S. policemen across the country, as well as to train local cops to better use surplus military equipment now in their possession. Now, the whole thing with this is, it's not the cops that need retraining.
Duh.
It's the animals in the street. It's the rioters and the looters who think they have a right to take what doesn't belong to them. And these people are using the First Amendment as their protection. But, Craig, you want me to go on about the legalities of what they're doing?
Yeah, because, folks, you got to understand what's going on there. These people that are doing the looting and the arson, they should be in a heap load of trouble.
Okay, and let's start with Lewis Head, the stepfather, who's not really a stepfather because he's not married to the mother, but you're not going to hear that except probably from Right Side Patriots. When he said his infamous burn this mother, well, we can say it on this radio, burn this motherfucker down and burn this bitch down, okay? I call them animals because that's what rioters and looters are, in my opinion. They took the words of a twice convicted drug dealer who spent 5 years in the St. Louis penitentiary. Now, he was yelling and screaming these words. I have a video of it up on today's blog entry. He knew when he said them that these people were going to follow his lead. Yep. He was carrying on, jumping up and down, burn it down, the whole 9 yards. Now, when someone is out of jail on parole, which he is, when you incite violence, that is a violation of your parole, and you're supposed to be thrown back in jail for that. But you notice he's not.
No, he's still wandering the streets.
Still wandering the streets, instigating violence, whatever. Now, the Lieutenant Governor, Peter Kinder, did call for an investigation of Head's words as a possible First Amendment violation. And it's going to take him time to go through it, but I can save him time and tell him right now those are a violation of the First Amendment because his words posed a clear and present danger to the citizens and businesses of Ferguson. And while proponents of free speech, along with the, race baiters, Sharpton and Holder and Obama, are claiming Lewis had a First Amendment right to say those words, no matter the outcome of the words, the fact is that the Constitution does not grant absolute immunity to those who would abuse the freedom of speech to incite violence, especially in regards, and this is right from all the legal papers, guys, the concept of clear and present danger. Now, the Supreme Court ruled that was to be adopted, and it was based on a case called Bradenburg versus Ohio in 1969 to determine under what circumstances limits can be placed on First Amendment freedoms of speech, press, and assembly. And under the eminent lawless action test, speech not protected by the First Amendment is speech, or in the case of Head, words that were intended to incite or produce a violation of the law that is imminent and likely. And all you have to do, guys, is look around at Ferguson and see how imminent and likely his words are.
So basically, it's time to march Lewis' happy little ass back to prison.
Not only Lewis, it's also time to march Al Sharpton and Eric Holder's happy little asses to prison. Because first, let's remember that Al Sharpton, okay, he's Obama's chief cohort in instigating a racial divide in this country. He has a $4.5 million lien, federal and state lien, placed against him and his businesses. But yet, even with this going on, he always puts himself, Craig, have you noticed, in the center of any racial controversy?
Oh, yeah.
Well, race, it is big business, and he kind of needs money to pay off his debts. But as far as Sharpton, why he needs to be arrested, because if you remember, he was the one that opened his mouth and insinuating that the Ferguson protesters could, might, probably will become violent if Wilson was not indicted. Now those words, and those were his words, The fact that he said them, what he did was he tried to sway the jury before the trial, because remember, this was not a sequestered jury. So they could go home at night, turn on their TVs and radios, and see and hear exactly what everybody during the day said. So by him saying that, he put, now this is legal precedence, folks. Based on legal precedence, what he did was blackmail and extortion of sorts, because he tried to put fear, and fear is indeed a legal precedence, into the minds of the jury, that if they decided in favor of what he considered wrong, that they will be the cause of Ferguson falling victim to violence, economic loss, and assorted other picadillos that they didn't need. And while he didn't use the very descriptive words of Lewis Head, what he did do was still said to instill fear in the jurors. And legally, and this is legal, it can be looked up in any legal papers, you don't actually have to feel physical fear, because the law clearly states that it is not necessary that a person experience fear physically, but only that the perpetrator, in this case Al Sharpton, intended to cause fear, which is what he intended, what he has intended from day one. So he too needs to have his happy little butt hauled off to jail.
Folks, I mean, what's going on there is criminal.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple, it's criminal.
Yes.
And those who are perpetrating it and those who are pushing it need to pay.
Yes, and we got Holder and Obama thrown in there too. I mean, they've crossed legal lines as well. And Obama is trying to, tread very carefully by doing this task force and this and that. But if you notice, the one thing that Sharpton, Holder, and Obama all have in common is they hate whites. There's no other way to say it. It might be my opinion. It's Craig's opinion as well. But we do have to preface it because of the alphabets. But it's our opinion. They are in this as revenge against whites. They hate whites. Obama hates his white half because he couldn't pass. Holder hates anybody white because of his perceived injustices when he was a kid. And Sharpton is just a racist of the first order.
Folks, if you haven't read it, you got to go to thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. Read Diane's article today. It is full of facts and the legal precedents, the court cases. It's all there.
And Craig, I think you need to tell them Right Side Patriots' little claim to fame in Ferguson, and then tell our listeners about your additional claim to fame.
Well, okay. So Monday night, I had taken a break from all things Ferguson Monday night. I wasn't watching the stream, but we had some of our people that were at CPR, and we find out on Tuesday morning that I got called out by name on the streets of Ferguson.
Yes.
Yeah, they called me a racist and a whole lot of other things.
and they also said CPR and Right Side Patriots.
And Right Side Patriots. Hey, we got a little publicity out of that. I mean, look, I've been called worse by better people.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Craig, it's a badge of honor. Look, I got called. I was Loon of the Week on a left-wing site, so now you've got a bigger badge of honor. You're a racist.
I'm a racist on the streets of Ferguson. I'm waiting for my plaque.
Yes, but I think, Craig, you need to tell people the solution that you and I came up with yesterday to end all the brouhaha in Ferguson.
Here's the deal, folks. If the quote-unquote black community, and when we say the black community, we're talking about those that are out there rousing rabble right now. They're burning places down. They're looting. They're stealing. They're beating people up. They're killing people. If the problem is relations between that ilk and the police departments of this country, then take the police departments out of those neighborhoods.
Yep.
Just take them out.
Yep.
Let those people eat themselves alive. Because when somebody breaks into their car, who are they going to call? Somebody breaks into their house, who are they going to call? We talked about this the other day. We had a couple of situations there in Ferguson. The leader of the F the Cops rally got her car stolen.
You gotta love it.
And who's she going to call? I mean, she's been out there for days yelling at the top of her lungs to F the police. Now she needs the cops. Okay, and she expects them to do something for her. One of the people that was out there stealing and doing all this stuff, his house got broken into and his stuff got stolen. Who's he going to call? I mean, look, folks, it's like Diane said, you don't need to retrain police forces. What you need to do is retrain the thugs. You got to take these people that are acting fools in these places, and you've got to teach them and train them how to act like civilized people.
Yes, and guys,
it's got nothing to do with skin color. It's got to do with the mentality. Because look, there's white people out there doing the same thing. Look at the Occupy movement, for God's sakes. You don't need to retrain police forces. You need to retrain the people that are causing the problem.
The difference, though, with the Occupy movement, that was a bunch of young kids of all color. When you're talking about rioting and looting, we're talking about after verdicts come down that you don't like. Did you notice how many whites went into the streets after the OJ verdict came down? None. Did you notice how many whites took to the streets after any verdict came down? None. There is a mindset in a certain segment of the black community. Only a certain segment. We are not putting all into this.
No.
But there is a segment in that community that thinks they have a right to do what they do. They have a right to act badly, as they say.
White privilege is not the problem. Black entitlement is a bigger problem.
Yeah.
You've got that segment of the black community that thinks they're entitled to do whatever they damn well please because of the color of their skin. Well, I don't care if you're white, red, black, green, yellow, pink with purple polka dots. Doesn't matter. You have no right to take what's not yours. You have no right to commit arson, to beat people up, to try and kill police officers. You have no right to do what these thugs are doing on the street. You just don't.
Especially when all evidence, forensic and testimonial, showed that the officer had every right to do what he did. He acted within the parameters of the law. But that's being glossed over. That's being hidden away. They don't want you to know the facts. All they want you to know is a white officer killed a black youth. Well, guess what, folks? This was no black youth. This was an 18-year-old, 300-pound, 6'3" thug with a criminal arrest record for assault, armed robbery, and I believe strong arming with bodily injury. Yeah. We have it up on our sites.
Let me give people an idea. Here's something that Al Sharpton said the other day in relation to Ferguson. This is how in denial these people want us to be. They're the hands up, don't shoot. Come on. He never had his hands up. He was never surrendering to the cops. It's a lie. Hands up, don't shoot is a bald-faced lie. Okay? And all the evidence supports the fact that it's a bald-faced lie. Now, here's Al Sharpton the other day talking about what's happening in Ferguson. He said, "We are not looters, we are liberators. We are not burners, we are builders."
Yeah.
Now, by my recollection so far in Ferguson, there's been enough liberation of property belonging to other people who actually had to pay for it, and enough structures there have been built to the ground to total $2 billion and counting. We're not looters, we're good grief.
Yeah. This is reverse racism. We are the cause of their problems, not realizing this segment of the population that they're the cause of their own problems. I mean, case in point, Lewis Head. He is not Michael Brown's stepfather. He is the mother's boyfriend. They're not married. She was never married. They can't even get that right, the media. They can't even tell the truth about that.
No, because the truth doesn't work in their advantage. Okay?
No.
You know, I mean, look, folks, I mean, read Diane's article today, you'll get all the facts. Read my article today, and you get a load of snark.
Yeah, but it's great snark. It's great snark, guys. You really gotta take it with the intention that Craig wrote it with. It's funny. It's funny, but it's damn truthful.
It's biting. It's biting sarcasm is really what it is. And I got called a racist a few times again today. You know, by people who are just pushing the PC wagon down the merry little path. And I'm not politically correct. I'm politically direct. You know, and I'm not going to go through this whole thing. But you know, I'll give you an idea. I said in the article, I said, let's face it, Mike Brown needed to get high, rob that store, and try to kill a cop like he needed a hole in the head. Well, what do you know? You know, I mean, this is the type of stuff. I go off on Chris Rock, and this thing. You know, Chris Rock, you know, comedian, movie star, worth bazillions of dollars. He said this was interesting. He says what white people need to do is own the actions of their ancestors. So slavery, which ended 150 years ago, is why Ferguson is being liberated and built today. Huh? Well, I'll tell you what, Rock. How about you set the standard and own what your ancestors did? Because my ancestors didn't do anything to your ancestors that your ancestors didn't do to your ancestors first. And if that's too hard to follow, Africans were rounded up and sold to the white European slave traders by other black Africans.
And you know what, Craig? Black Africa still has the largest percentage of slave trading in the world today.
They do. They do. And we've got nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
You know? But, you know, you gotta go in there and you got to read the article today. It's
You'll laugh. There were parts in his article today that are so funny. And there were pictures, guys. I mean, they will have tears streaming down your face.
You know, it just is what it is. Look, I've written 3 days in a row on Ferguson now, and I wrote a couple articles on Ferguson last week. I am so I hope I'm done writing this crap. But as long as they're going to keep up this monkey business, that's a hint. As long as they're going to keep up the monkey business, we're going to stay on top of it. And you know, look, go down there on the streets of Ferguson and call me a racist. You know, I mean, I know I'm not. People that know me know I'm not. You know, doesn't bother me. You call me whatever you want, but you know, make sure you mention CPR Worldwide Media.com and Right Side Patriots.
Yes.
You know, and let's, you know, if you're going to do it, you know, advertise us correctly. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, and by the way.
Yeah.
By the way, you know, for those thugs on the street who are listening on their stolen iPods right now, the name's not Anderson, it's Andreessen.
True.
Because
and
if you're gonna call me names, at least get my real name right.
Correct. And I was the partner.
Partner.
Yeah, I was the partner. I guess they figured maybe because I'm a girl, you know, like, we'll go harder on her another time or whatever. But they didn't like what Craig or I have written about them. They don't like CPR's stand on what's going on.
Too bad.
And you know what? Tough toenails.
I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do, and we're going to call them out on it. That's what we do. So There you go, folks. Hey, we've got a lot more show yet to go. 2016 candidates, the names that are swirling around in the wind. We're going to talk about that. Maybe a surprise in there. Maybe a surprise. Medicare is in deep trouble, and we have a very special tribute for Christmas to our men and women in uniform. All that yet to come, so stay with us, folks. Right Side Patriots will be back after this.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to the second hour of Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media.
We the people.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. Diane Sorry from the Patriot Factor. And Diane, I think one of the things they called me on the streets of Ferguson was something that Lewis Head wanted to burn down.
Yeah, but no, guys aren't that. Guys are something else.
No. The other one.
The other one.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Okay. Hey, we got to talk about 2016 candidates. This is, we're getting down to that time. And I've always said that probably right after the first of the year is when candidates will start tossing their hats in the ring. We're going to have the better part of 2 full years of campaigning for 2016. And there's a lot of names, Diane, that are kind of swirling around out there. Some of them might surprise some people. There's some shifting going on. Early on, if you went back a year ago, the odds-on favorite to get the nomination was Chris Christie, but he is like dead silent anymore.
Yeah, there was a survey that came out yesterday, and it listed the top people. And the one that they really wish would run again is Mitt Romney. Now, I'll go into a little bit more about that in a bit. But Mitt Romney was number one on the list. Now, this is not in any specific order. Chris Christie was like dead center of the top 5. Jeb Bush was on the list, and while Jeb was a great governor of our state, no. He's a big proponent of Common Core. Also making the list was my favorite at this point, Ted Cruz. Mike Huckabee, who, nah.
Huckabee's a good man, but he's kind of up and down. Yeah.
I could see Mike Huckabee as a vice president, but not as a president. And guess who did not make the list at all? And I have a big smile on my face about that one.
Who?
Rand Paul. I cannot stomach the man.
The nut doesn't fall far from the tree when it comes to the Pauls.
True. This man has flip-flopped so many times. This man, when I saw that picture of him with his arm around Al Sharpton, I literally wanted to go for a Obama bag. I felt that sick.
I know.
I mean, the man does not support Israel. The man is not 100% behind our military. The man has no problem with a nuclear-armed Iran.
He's an isolationist.
I mean, I could go list after list after list after list, and he was not on there. I mean, he was not on there because of his policies. Now, he did announce yesterday he's going to be rerunning for the Senate in Kentucky. So maybe...
is he Kentucky or Tennessee?
I think he's Kentucky.
One of the two, anyway.
Yeah, one of the two. He's not going to be, he's going to be running for Senate, and there is certain laws that he would have to circumnavigate to run for president. I'm hoping he realizes he kind of blew it on a lot of instances. The one I'm sad about is Marco Rubio, but he blew it. He just blew it. He started out gangbusters, but he had a chance to redeem himself on the amnesty and explain that he did what he did because if he didn't do it, we would be under the McCain-Graham amnesty bill right now. He didn't do it.
Yeah, and folks, I'm just going to be flat out honest with you. We have tried to get Marco Rubio on the show to do just that, to explain himself. And he has never, we've been told by his people, we'll get him. And then when push comes to shove, there's always a reason why he can't come on the show.
And it's odd because I happen to know him.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, he screwed up on the amnesty thing.
Yes.
And then he doubled down on that screw up. And then he voted for a communist to take over housing and urban development.
Yeah, I don't know where his mindset was. He would have made a good president, guys, but his actions of late, no. When he voted to approve Julian Castro, that really did it for me. But if he got the nomination, of course I would support him. But I don't think that's going to happen right now. The party really is pushing Mitt to come back. Now, let's not all jump on everything and say, oh, well, he said this about amnesty. Yes, he did this week. He did call for some kind of amnesty deal. But what people need to understand, and I don't care if you don't like hearing it, we're talking about 11 million people to start with. We know there are more, but right now we're talking about these 11 million. No way in hell is our government, whoever is the president, going to deport 11 million people. It's just not going to happen. You need to be realistic, folks.
Well, and what Romney's talking about is not at all unlike what you and I have talked about on this show before. Secure the border first.
Yes.
And then we'll sit down and talk about what to do with the rest of it. And one of the primary things that needs to be redone as far as our immigration is concerned is streamline the process so that people that want to come here legally can, and it doesn't take them decade or 2 decades to do it.
And countless thousands of dollars, because what Obama did with this executive order was he slapped in the face every single legal immigrant who came here through the process, who spent money to come here, who took oaths of citizenship. He just basically shit on all of them.
Yeah, he did. And this is what Romney is saying is, first things first, secure the border, and then let's figure out what to do.
Yes, and people are twisting that now. People within our own party. People need to understand there's a difference between the establishment, between the rhinos, and between conservatives. The big difference between the conservatives and the establishment is over the social issues,
right,
which really have no business being on a national level because they're states' issues.
State and local.
Exactly. Rhinos are a different category. Romney is not a rhino, plain and simple. You might not like his stand on some of the social issues, but guess what, guys? I'm more moderate on the social issues.
Well, and so am I. But here's what you got to know about Romney. And, folks, nobody has officially thrown their hat in the ring. We want to make that
Correct.
clear. We're just talking about the names that are out there. When it comes to Mitt Romney, everything he said in the 2012 campaign was right. He got it all right.
Yes.
On every policy and political issue, he was 100% right.
Yes. And the problem is he lost the election before the first vote was even cast. Let's be honest here. The fraud was rampant. The dead were out in droves. The intimidation, the machine tampering, it went on across the board.
Now, we promised, as we opened this segment, we promised that there was going to be a surprise in here for people.
Yes.
And one name that Diane did not mention that's in the top 5, and look, folks, that top 5 is not written in stone.
No, Craig, he is not in the top 5.
That's what I said. That's what I said. I said one name that among the names that Diane mentioned that is not in the top 5.
Oh, not. Okay, I'm sorry. It was a Skype pop-out.
Okay. And that top 5 is not set in stone. That's going to change too. Okay?
Yes, of course.
But a name that we would all like to see in 2016 is Alan West.
Yes.
Now, Alan has been a guest on the show several times. He keeps promising to come back, and he always does. Mm-hmm. He's a man of his word. And, we would a lot of us would like to see Alan West make a run for the White House in 2016. However, there's some stuff happening here, and I bet you a lot of people don't know this. You think of Alan West, you think of South Florida.
Yeah.
Because he came. His family came from Atlanta. He grew up in Atlanta. His folks live in Atlanta. And we always thought, if Alan ever decided to leave Florida, he would wind up going back to Atlanta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. It just kind of seems like a natural thing, Not the case, folks. Alan West is moving to Dallas.
Dallas, Texas. And while we're going to miss him like hell here, he will not forget those of us who worked on both of his campaigns. Those of us, like Craig and I, who put him on the air, we love having Alan on, and he's never said no to us.
To Alan, our show is Diane and what's his name?
Yeah. I was a very proud volunteer on both of his campaigns, and this man is presidential material like none you can imagine. But he's moving on to a new chapter in his life, and he's going to start in Dallas, Texas. And Craig and I both have the honor of being invited to his farewell party.
Now, and here's to see, this is what I mean. Diane's invitation came, addressed to Diane. Mine came addressed to friend. Not that I hold that against him, because I've been called a racist by people on the streets in Ferguson. So I'm pretty pumped.
Believe there's a little reason that Alan went to Dallas.
Now,
Craig, you want to tell them?
Yeah, here's kind of what we're thinking, folks, and we're speculating, okay? But at this point in the 2016 race, you have to speculate, because nothing is official at all. Here's the way we think this is going to play out, and quite frankly, we'll be shocked if it doesn't. We believe that Ted Cruz is going to make a run for the White House. And, someday we're going to have to do a whole show, Diane, on why Ted Cruz is a natural-born citizen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my paper on that is in possession of the Cruz campaign and Alan West and some people in Congress.
You and I have both written on that.
Yes.
The Cruz people have both of our articles, and but he is, folks. He is eligible. Okay. And we'll do a whole bunch on a show one of these days coming up about why, but he is. We think he's going to run for the White House. And when he makes that announcement, we believe that Alan West will run for the Senate in Texas.
Yeah, it had always been told to some of us that if Marco Rubio did run for the presidency, that would leave the Senate seat open. And Alan would run for his Senate seat. But it's kind of looking now, unless Marco went in at the last minute, it kind of looks like he's going to rerun for his Senate seat, which means there is no vacancy because Bill Nelson was just reelected.
Right.
So we need Alan back in that Congress. We need him there, whether it's as a congressman or as a senator. So with the horrible redistricting that has been done in Florida, which stacks the deck deliberately against Republicans, he does have a better chance of getting back in Congress through Texas. Now, again, this is all Craig and my speculation.
We do not have, I swear.
Pieces together, they kind of make sense.
And this is kind of what Diana and I do. We kind of connect the dots. And that's what we're doing here. And we have no inside information from Alan West or Ted Cruz. We're just looking at the scenario and thinking, well, how is this going to play out? First of all, let me tell you, you people in Dallas, you lucky stiffs.
Yes, we're jealous.
You get Alan West.
I'm so heartbroken, first of all, that he was no longer our Broward congressman. Then he moved to Palm Beach because of the redistricting to run there. He had the election stolen from him because the military votes were not counted. I mean, this is a big loss to South Florida.
I was hoping he would move to north central Nebraska.
That I don't think.
I mean, because look, we'd love to have him. I mean, we really would. And but here's the thing: he's moving to Dallas. He's going to take up residence in Texas. The whole family is going to be moving there, and we wish them all the best. I know how much fun moving can be.
Oh yes.
Okay, and I guarantee you, the lieutenant colonel has a lot more stuff than I do. So. It's going to be a chore, moving there. But, the kids are going to do well there. The girls are going to do well. Angela is going to they'll do great wherever they go.
Yes.
Because they're just quality people. And, but we think this is the way it's going to play out. We think Ted Cruz is going to run for the presidency and Alan is going to run for Ted's seat in the Senate.
Yes. Now, one other person that was left off this list of the top possible contenders, and I believe rightly so, besides Craig, because remember, you're a racist, you can't run.
I am. Well, so's Obama, and he won.
No, he usurped. He stole.
Oh, yeah, okay. Right.
Big difference. One of the people, and I'm glad he's not on the list, is Dr. Ben Carson.
Can we talk about Ben Carson?
Yes.
Nice guy.
You want to go first?
Well, let me just say, he by all accounts, he's a very nice man.
Yes.
You cannot find a smarter person. Look, if your life was on the line and you needed some sort of surgery, you could not do better than Dr. Ben Carson. You couldn't. I mean, the guy he's world class with a scalpel.
Yes, this man, he would make a great Surgeon General or head of HHS without a doubt. However, one good speech at a prayer breakfast does not a president make. Also, Ben Carson's stand on the Second Amendment is tenuous at best, and he also came out with some quite shocking statements on Fox over the past couple of weeks. Not in defense of the protesters, but not really condemning them as strongly as, let's say, Alan West has done, or the other people of name have done. He doesn't agree with them by any means. No. But he did say they have some valid points. Now that raised red flags with me no end.
Now, I think if you're talking about the protesters who are peacefully protesting, and there are some that are,
yes,
then
yes.
You should sit down and listen to what they have to say, and make your mind up whether any of their points are valid or not. But when you're talking about the thugs in the streets that are looting, committing arson, beating people up, they have no valid point. None.
No, none. This is, like I said, he'd make a great Surgeon General or head of HHS. But another thing that I think he has that goes against him, and this is just my personal belief, he's too meek. He's too quiet. He's too mild-mannered. Right now, we need someone to charge in on a white horse, so to speak. We need a Ted Cruz. We need an Alan West. We need someone like that. The meekness, that's not going to serve us well when we're dealing with people like Iran,
right?
Like the Muslim Brotherhood, like ISIS. No, Ben Carson is not the man for that, in my opinion.
And that brings up another great point about Dr. Ben Carson, is the fact that the man has no known stand on international issues, foreign policy issues. What are his domestic policy issues? We know he's kind of gone back and forth on the Second Amendment thing, but where does he stand on this stuff? I mean, that's a problem at this point, because he's a nationally known name, but yet, and there are people out there that are pushing him, and say, run for president. Wouldn't it be great if we had Dr. Ben Carson? But they're basing it all on what Diane said. One great speech at a prayer breakfast. That's it. That started the whole Ben Carson movement, and we've heard nothing about his policy stance ever since.
Yeah, nothing, because he doesn't have any, and that's the problem. You need a strong person. Now, I would love, this is my dream ticket. Alan is smart enough to know he's not going to go for president this time out. I won't say why, but I think people can figure it out. But I would love to see a Cruz West ticket. That would be my dream ticket. A Cruz West ticket.
And there's a lot of people that can fill the, very, very well fill the role of a VP coming up for 2016 for our side of the aisle. Mm-hmm. He's one of them. Here's another name that was not on the list, but I think probably, or maybe it wasn't, I just didn't hear you. Scott Walker.
No, he was not in the top list. He was on the list, but not in the top tier.
I would not have a problem with Scott Walker.
Neither would I.
Running, and or Scott Walker being on a ticket. But folks, what you got to remember is that there are so many good conservatives, good Republicans, and T-publicans that are out there that may not make the greatest president, but certainly could fulfill a role in a cabinet. Now, you look at Sarah Palin, and I don't want to get all the Sarah Palin people mad at me here, but I just don't see it. I just don't see her running for president. I really don't. But I would love to see her as the head of our energy department. Head that thing up and start drilling some damn holes.
Yes.
Go get our energy.
And I just thought of something. It would never be a Cruz West ticket, because with Alan now moving to Texas,
that won't happen.
You don't have two people. But Alan West would make one hell of a Secretary of Defense, wouldn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What we need to do, and I've written about this, I wrote about it going into 2012, and I'll just keep harping on it. what we need to do is look at all the different people that all these different groups would like to push for president and figure out what role they could best fulfill for this country. And not maybe not the best role for the people that are pushing them or the best role for them as a potential candidate, but the best role for the country. And you think about, Ambassador John Bolton.
Yes, he's very good too.
Secretary of State.
Yes.
Nobody messes with the mustache.
No. Well, I still like, if we had Alan as Secretary of Defense, we'd be kicking some serious ISIS butt.
Absolutely. What you got to do is you got to look at all the different people and say, in what position would they do the most good for this country?
Absolutely.
And get them in that position.
Here's a strange thing that I would do, and I know I'm going to get flack for it. The ambassador to Israel. I think one of the best ambassadors we could have for Israel would be Joe Lieberman.
Absolutely. And Joe Lieberman gets it. When it comes to national defense, even though he was a Democrat who went independent, Joe Lieberman gets it.
And he crosses party lines. He has many times voted with the Republicans, especially on foreign policy issues.
Now, I didn't know a whole lot about Joe Lieberman when he was on the VP ticket, back then. And I kind of thought, well, who is this guy?
Connecticut senator.
Yeah. Since then, I've learned a lot about Joe Lieberman. And when it comes to foreign policy and national defense and national security, Joe Lieberman, although he is a Democrat who went independent, he gets it.
Yes. And sometimes, you guys, you do have to be inclusive of the other party. You can't strictly make it all one, because then you're just as guilty as the Obama administration is. So there are some good Democrats, independents out there who side for the most part with what conservatives, what Republicans believe in. You can't totally ignore them for cabinet positions.
No, you have to look at who fulfills the job the best and put those people in those positions. And one of the things that I suggested before the nomination came down in 2012 was, here's the way it ought to go. And we've only got a couple of minutes left in this segment, so let me just kind of blow through this really fast. Whoever gets the nomination should come out and say, here's my vice presidential pick. Not give this 3-4 weeks worth of dilly-dallying about trying to figure out who's going to be the VP, but here's my VP. This is going to be my running mate. And not only that, here is who I'm going to nominate for Secretary of State. Here is who I'm going to nominate for Secretary of Defense. Here's who I'm going to nominate for Secretary of Energy. Here's who I'm going to nominate to this, that, and the other thing, and come out there as a group and say, we are your ticket.
Yes, that's a wonderful idea. That's a wonderful idea. And it might stop some of the animosity. If you have thrown in there a moderate to right leaning Democrat, wow, that shows people we are going to work with others.
Yeah. I mean, do it. Figure out who's going to be best and get them locked and loaded. And by the time you get to the nomination, this is the ticket. Pow. And make the left run against the entire squad.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that's the way I look at it. I mean, I just think overwhelm them. Overwhelm them with the greatest people in the best possible positions that you can find.
I mean,
just let it rip.
Yeah. I mean, it's to the point you kind of almost have to do that now, because I still say Hillary's not going to run, but God forbid she does run. Can you see the kind of people she would pick in her cabinet?
Oof.
It would be a nightmare, folks. So
Vice President, Muslim Brotherhood, Huma Abedin.
Oh yeah. Or maybe her Her husband could be the head of HHS, flashes pictures all over the place.
Good Lord.
Oh, great. Oh, great. But guys, the party, and they make no secret about it, is trying to get Mitt Romney to run again. I was a volunteer on both his campaigns. I supported him the first time he ran. And when he lost the nomination to McCain, our country might be very different today if he had won that nomination. I would, in a heartbeat, support him again. And I could actually, in the back of my mind, kind of see a Romney Cruz ticket also.
I'm just saying, folks, we've got a long ways to go before 2016. Nobody has thrown their hat in the ring officially. There's a lot of conjecture going on, and we're engaging in that right now. But, if you're talking about Mitt Romney, we could do better. We could do a whole lot worse.
Yes. And guys, where he differs from the conservatives is on certain social issues. But you know what? Craig and I differ with some of the right-wing conservatives on those social issues as well.
Folks, we still got more show to come. We've got to talk about Medicare. It's in deep, deep doo-doo. That is coming up after the break. And before we close the show, a very special tribute to the men and women of the armed forces just in time for Christmas. We are going to debut it right here on CPR and Right Side Patriots before the end of the show. Folks, got a word from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more after this.
The most amazing thing about the Ford Fusion isn't the way it looks. The most amazing thing is the way it sees. With blind spot technology, a lane keeping system, and a standard rear view camera, the Fusion is ready for whatever comes your way. Go prepared. Go further.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here. We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Why do cities shine so bright? It's the glow of opportunities, of ideas bouncing off one another, of countless people, every one of us, striving to succeed. Right now, in cities everywhere, ideas are being born. New thinking that will put us in awe of what people are capable of. That's what lights cities up. And helping people and their ideas to burn even brighter, so that communities, businesses, and you and I can grow. What if a bank made that its job? For more than 200 years, Citi's job has been to help empower people and business. Now, around the world, it's wherever people gather, wherever ideas come alive. It's wherever you are. The world's city.
Come on, Harry! Dumb and Dumber 2 is the #1 movie in America.
Am I right?
What? Seriously, it's #1.
Insane.
These guys are morons!
I like her a lot.
Dumb and Dumber 2, rated PG-13. Now playing.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
I'm just an old black sheep from the family tree. I'm now a vet and a victim of society. Hell, I stood by the gun just to keep us free. Now my own damn country's turned its back on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. From the Revolution War to the Middle East, I come back to a country that's lost its peace. And now here I stand on the promised land, free and a slave to Uncle Sam. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. You don't tread on me. Well, you think you know me, but you haven't got a clue. I stood and fought so that you would not have to. Don't tread on me. Yeah, don't tread on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me. You need to step aside. Don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me. Yeah, the old revolution's like a man down. The old W's, K-I-A's, M-I-A. And our 5 little soldiers in a foreign land.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot with Diane Sori from the Patriot Factor. And we're glad you're sticking it out with us today. We had hoped to have Mudar Zakran on the show today. Mudar came down with a nasty bout of the flu overnight and could not make it onto the show. But Diane, he says he'll come back as soon as he's feeling better.
Right. It might even be next week, but we wish him well because we've all been at the other side of that flu and it's not pleasant.
No, it's nasty. It's nasty. We hope he gets feeling better really, really fast. We got to talk about Medicare because Medicare is in deep trouble. But before we get to that, Diane, you just got some breaking news coming out of New York.
Yes, let me go back to that. Another verdict, guys, of no indictment has been turned in. This one is in that supposed choke case where the police officer supposedly choked a black man doing a crime. The grand jury has returned no indictment there as well. So I guess it's going to look like New York City will see their share of the animals out in force, and who knows, maybe some of Ferguson's will be bussed over.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. But folks, if you're in New York City, look out. Because there's a certain segment of the population, a bunch of thugs and race baiters that are not going to like this.
Yeah, I guess Al Sharpton will have to, postpone his 40-city hate whitey incite violence
Well,
tour.
yeah, I mean, this whole thing has just gotten out of control. Really, I mean, to be perfectly honest, the whole thing is out of control. And grand juries. Look, it's always been said that a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich. Okay.
Yes.
In other words, they don't need a whole lot to go on to formulate an indictment. When they come back with no indictment, that means they couldn't find one damn thing to indict
Correct.
on. So, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But let's talk about Medicare here, because this is going to be a mess for a lot of folks, especially our senior citizens.
Yes, because the senior citizens are the biggest beneficiaries of Medicare, and it's always been a fairly, good insurance. My husband works in a medical office specialists, and when patients come in with Medicare, in fact, most of the patients are Medicare patients because they're seniors. There's never been problems with their Medicare insurance. However, now we're heading into major problems with Medicare, and it's all thanks to Obamacare.
Well, and don't say we didn't see it coming, folks, because we certainly did. And of course, we were told by the regime, oh, no, it's not going to affect Medicare. No, you have no worries there. Well, it turns out that within a few years, Medicare might just be gone.
Yes, the Obamacare and the regime is going to be cutting $716 billion from Medicare over the next 10 years. In fact, people on Medicare now, people that will be put on Medicare when they, reach a certain age by 2019, they might see Medicare completely insolvent by that time.
Now, I want you to give that number again. Over the next 10 years,
$716 billion with a B dollars will be cut from Medicare.
Okay, folks, that's almost $750 billion.
Yes.
It's going to be cut from Medicare. And if you think Medicare is going to survive something like that, I think you're nuts.
Yes. And the cuts will be so deep by 2019 that 15% of current Medicare providers will be operating at a loss. And by 2050, 40%, almost half of all providers will be working at a loss, meaning the hospitals and doctors will have just two choices: stop serving Medicare patients or charge their other private patients more money, and that could put them in regulatory hot water depending on how the government responds to all this. In other words, our seniors are screwed.
What's going to happen, and I tell you, they're not going to jack up the rates on their non-Medicare patients. What's going to happen is they're simply going to say, I'm no longer handling Medicare.
Correct.
Period. And then where are people going to go that have to rely on that? I mean, we saw this coming with Obamacare, folks. We did. We saw it coming. We talked about it. We wrote about it. Ted Cruz got up there and talked for 21 hours about it. We all saw it coming. Now we're getting official word from the people who crunch the numbers that, yep, indeed, this is going to happen. Folks, by 2019, that's barely 4 years away.
Yes. And what they're doing is they're going to be nickel and diming seniors to death. Seniors who are on Social Security for the most part, who can afford to be nickel and dime the least. For example, your investment income will be taxed an additional 3.8%. This new tax was written into the into Obamacare, but it will not raise revenue for Medicare, but for new government spending. Medicare premiums will rise at least a minimum of $33 a month by the year 2017, guys, 2.5 years from now, less. Supplemental insurance to fill the Medicare coverage gaps, which will grow because there's going to be major changes to Medicare Advantage coverage under the law, is expected to add, are you ready for this? $272 minimum to the average senior's premium expense. And starting in 2017, the deductible cost will rise, meaning there will be higher out-of-pocket costs for new beneficiaries, for medicine, for doctor visits from the people who basically live on fixed Social Security incomes. And the Medicare Part D drug coverage itself, those premiums will rise by a minimum of 9% within the same time frame.
Not a maximum, a minimum.
Minimum.
Of 9%.
Yes.
Now, when deductibles go up, now see, this is something that we saw in Obamacare from the get-go. When your deductibles go up so far that you can never pay off enough of the deductible to actually take advantage of the insurance, you are spending your money on your premium for nothing.
Correct. It's sad. It's sad. What they're saying, when you crunch all the numbers, the bottom line is the people that can least afford it, who have paid into the system their whole working lives, will now be forced to spend hundreds of more dollars per month for their Medicare benefits. Now remember, this is a system we've paid into. You know, that Americans, when I say we, I'm talking about the American population.
That's right.
Has paid into their whole working life. We're going to get screwed. But the illegals who Obama with his pen are going to make legal, they can still walk into any emergency room in this country and not be turned away.
Who was it that was pushing Granny off the cliff?
That was supposedly Paul Ryan.
That was supposedly us. That was supposedly the Republicans and the conservatives. Yeah. We were collectively shoving Grandma off the cliff in her wheelchair. In reality, and we told you this then, in reality, it's not us, it's them. And I've always said, Diane, if you want to know what liberals are up to, look at what they accuse Republicans of doing.
Right. What they accuse us of doing is exactly what they are doing. But this is what happens, folks, especially the taxes hidden in here. This is what happens when the liberal, progressive Democrats don't read a bill before they pass it. Well, you know what? It's going to cost them their jobs.
Well, you look at the situation with Medicare, and as more and more doctors simply take a step back and say, I can't cover Medicare patients anymore. I can't do it. If I continue to see Medicare patients, I'm going to have to close my doors. Then where are Medicare patients supposed to go? This is all part of Obama's plan. This is all part of a single-payer system plan. You make it so obtuse for any private individual to pay for any health care that it falls simply to the government, because nobody is going to be able to carry their own weight when it comes to medical expenses anymore.
Right.
And at that point, then the people will go to the government and say, you got to do something, you got to take care of us. And then the government has their hooks in you even deeper. And that's the problem here. That's socialism, folks, and it's leaning heavily on communism.
And what's also sad about all of this is it affects the percentage of the population that, like I said, is living on, for the most part, fixed Social Security incomes. These were the hard-working people. These are not the people that had the money to invest in the stock market and make a killing and this and that. These are the hard-working middle-class Americans who are going to be screwed the most by Obamacare after being promised the most by Obamacare. My advice to everybody, keep your private insurance. Even if it costs you a bit more now, when the Republicans can take control, things will be done. Will Obamacare be repealed? We can only hope, but we know it will at least be changed. But if you can afford to keep your private insurance, please, people, do it at this point.
Well, and put pressure on every member of Congress. This has got to stop. This kind of stuff has got to stop, because it's going to break the bank. It's going to break the system. And all Obamacare was ever meant to do was break the system.
Yes.
So that there would be no other choice but a single-payer system.
Yes.
And, this is how socialism gets its greedy little paws into everybody's business.
Yes.
And you had to know from the get-go that something was horribly, horribly wrong when the enforcement wing for Obamacare was the IRS.
Yeah, you got major problems there.
Okay, right now, and we talked about this earlier in the show, the IRS has been sharing your taxpayer data and information with the White House. It's illegal. Your personal private information from the IRS has been handed over to the White House.
Yeah, not
Okay.
good, folks.
You've got the whole Lois Lerner thing. Missing emails, found emails, pleading the fifth, targeting people for political reasons. That's the people that are supposed to oversee Obamacare.
Yeah.
This is nothing but a disaster in the making. It's a slow motion disaster in the making. And we've got to get rid of this before it's too late. And that's why when we seat a new Congress in January, we've got to get all over those people. We've got to climb all up in their grill and tell you you've got to get rid of this.
Yeah, and it's not only that, guys, with all these changes and people are not going to be able to afford their premiums, you are going to see the death panels in action left and right. And unfortunately, the death panels are going to be chosen by the people that are sick because they cannot afford to do what they need to do.
It's all part of the plan, folks, and we got to put an end to it. And we took step 1 on November 4th. Now step 2 is we got to ride these people like rented rhinos.
Yes.
And make sure they do it.
Well, Craig, with all that, let's kind of shift into a little bit of a happier mode and give our special Christmas message to our troops.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is something I was going through stuff on the internet the other day, and I found this poem for soldiers, and I thought, what a cool tribute. Now, this thing was written back in 2000, so it's been out there for a while. And we've seen a lot of this stuff get written after 2001 and after 9/11. This was done a year before that. And which means that somebody has really, really, really been thinking about the men and women who serve our country and protect our freedom, and protect freedom and give freedom to others around the country. Christmas is a tough time for a lot of these families because somebody in the family is overseas, somebody is stationed somewhere else, and families can't be together. And here at CPR, and Diane and I here on Right Side Patriots, we are huge supporters of our military. When you see them on the street, when you see them at the airport, in a restaurant, and you walk up and you shake a hand or two and you thank them, it just never really seems to be enough. And, we know that Christmas is tough for them. It's tough for kids of military families and things. So we wanted to do something that could be played throughout the Christmas season from now leading up to Christmas. And when I found this poem, I thought, boy, this is it. This is what we need here. And so I borrowed a little music from the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and I read this and put it together, and we're going to debut it for you now. And like I said, you're going to hear this from time to time leading up to Christmas. But Diane's already heard it. I sent a copy over to her, and this is one of those things that you hear it and you just go, wow, I do need to do more for the people who have stood up for us.
Yes, we need to do more for them and less for people who really don't belong here.
It's just that simple, folks. So with that, we are going to bid you adieu. If you missed any part of the show today, that's okay. They're going to recast it right here on CPR tonight at midnight, and again on Saturday right after our live show at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. So If you missed any of that, never fear. There's more to come. And Mudar Zakran will join us hopefully next week when he's feeling better. So
yes, feel better, our friend, please.
Please do. Please do. With that, folks, we'll leave you with this special Christmas poem for our men and women in the armed forces. The embers glowed softly, and in their dim light I gazed round the room, and I cherished the sight. My wife was asleep, her head on my chest, my daughter beside me, angelic in rest. Outside the snow fell, a blanket of white, transforming the yard to a winter delight. The sparkling lights in the tree, I believe, completed the magic that was Christmas Eve. My eyelids were heavy, my breathing was deep, secured and surrounded by love. I would sleep in perfect contentment, or so it would seem. So I slumbered. Perhaps I started to dream. The sound wasn't loud and it wasn't too near, but I opened my eye when it tickled my ear. Perhaps just a cough, I didn't quite know. Then the sound of footsteps outside in the snow. My soul gave a tremble, I struggled to hear, and I crept to the door just to see who was near. Standing out in the cold and the dark of the night, a lone figure stood, his face weary and tight. A soldier, I puzzled, some 20 years old, perhaps a Marine. Huddled here in the cold, alone in the dark, he looked up and smiled, standing watch over me, my wife, and my child. "What are you doing?" I asked without fear. "Come in at this moment, it's freezing out here. Put down your pack, brush the snow from your sleeve. You should be at home on a cold Christmas Eve."
This night we pray our lives will show this dream he had. Each child still knows. This night we pray our lives will show this dream he had. Each child still knows. This night we pray our lives will show this dream he had. Not sure gardens we pray our lives we had.
For barely a moment I saw his eyes shift away from the cold and the snow blown in drifts to the window that danced with a warm fire's light. Then he sighed and he said, "It's really all right. I'm out here by choice. I'm here every night. It's my duty to stand at the front of the line that separates you from the darkest of times. No one had to ask or beg or implore me. I'm proud to stand here like my fathers before me. My Gramps died at Pearl on a day in December." Then he sighed, "That's a Christmas Gram always remembers. My dad stood watch in the jungles of Nam, and now it's my turn, so here I am. I've not seen my own son in more than a while, but my wife sends me pictures. He's sure got her smile." Then he bent and he carefully pulled from his bag the red, white, and blue, an American flag. I can live through the cold and the being alone, away from my family, my house, and my home. I can stand at my post through the rain and the sleet. I can sleep in a foxhole with little to eat. I can carry the weight of killing another, or lay down my life with my sisters and brothers who stand at the front against any and all to ensure for all time that this flag will not fall. So go back inside, he said. Harbor no fright. Your family is waiting, and I'll be all right. But isn't there something I can do at the least? Give you money, I asked, or prepare you a feast? It seems all too little for all that you've done, for being away from your wife and your son. Then his eye welled a tear that held no regret. Just tell us you love us and never forget to fight for our rights back home while we're gone, to stand your own watch no matter how long. For when we come home, either standing or dead, to know you remember we fought and we bled is payment enough. And with that we will trust that we mattered to you